Hello, this is Catherine Dubberly, the Answer Lady. I'm a big fan of Kiss Looms. I greatly enjoy mine, and I am cooperating with Kelly at Kiss Looms to make you a playlist of all the basic techniques that you might ever want to know on all of the looms. So welcome and enjoy. This is the shoulder seam of a cardigan. This is the top of the sleeve, and it's time to seam them together. And you will see I have a number of oddments impressed into service as giant pins. If you did not have these to work with, this is a machine knitting needle. So is this from a different machine, and this is a normal stitch holder for hand knitting. It's like a giant safety pin, sort of. If you did not have such things, you might wish to use a basting yarn, approximately a ½ inch to an inch from the edge. The reason is that we're matching rows running this way. This is running up the back to the shoulder. These are running up the front to the shoulder where it's already seamed. And we're running them alongside stitches, which ran from the bottom up or the top down, depending how you knitted your sleeve. Because of matching stitches in rows, they're going to roll the same direction. And it's very important to get these things eased together so that the sleeve fits evenly into the armhole. But it may not automatically do it even if it's been sized correctly, because stitches in rows just behave differently while you handle them. So that's why the pinning or basting can be a help to you. You need to use a yarn needle to do the seaming, and I've already started this seam. My real preference is steel yarn needles. They slide better through the fabric, but I think you're going to be able to see this better if I do what I'm doing. So that's why the plastic needle. Okay, the yarn is now on the back. We're going to be back stitching. We're going to come up right next to the column of stitches that's on the outside of the front or back of the sweater at the sleeve edge, the armhole edge. We're going to come up between two columns of stitches. There's one, and there's the edge column. The edge column in some cases isn't perfectly even, and you're looking at an example of that there. That's because I found some flaws and I worked the extra yarn where things were too loose over to the edge, but that's okay because it'll be hidden. I did it like that, and I'll show you that in another video. As long as I'm working between the final column and the next column in, that won't show. So I'm going to insert the needle, then insert it through this stitch. This very edge is actually the bind off or the cast on if you started on the top. So I'm going to insert it through the knit side of the first real stitch and come up. Then we're going to back up. This is a stitch, and the next one like it is this. We're going to stitch down through that and down between the columns of stitches the same way we stitched up. They're going to come up a little ways away, up through the next stitch, here's the stitch I came up through, here's the next true stitch. I'm going to go back through that, always trying to make sure that I go back down next to the outer column of stitches. Here's the next one. As you work, you don't want this cast on or bind off to get in the way. The loops will tend to roll under and want to get involved in the work. So keep your fingers rolling them out of the way. And they won't do any harm when after the stitching is done, they want to curve around there. I came up through this stitch. I'm going to go back down through that one and out next to the edge column of stitches and up again. I don't normally try to count how many stitches in rows. I just do them as they lie when matching stitches to rows. when you're matching stitches to stitches, counting works beautifully. But not so much here. And anytime you want to check on how you're doing, flip it back and let's see how neat the seam is. If you've made a mistake, it'll show. But mine's looking pretty good, except I got to figure out what went on there, and I can see what it was. My cast off edge is pulling through. So I just tucked it back in, and later I'll make sure that I secure it. If it doesn't want to lay down just by moving the fullness of the stitches around like that, I can always take a needle and thread and affix it to the inside of the seam so it stays and behaves. And that's what we're going for on insetting sleeves into armholes. Do not think this is the only way. This is just a good way, and one that I thought I'd show you because I think it'll work for you.